Entering Kenmore. Doors will open on the left.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome to another emergency episode of Entering Kenmore. I am David Azer alongside Zach Coe. Zach, we have another trade in the last 2 weeks. First, the Red Sox acquired Sonny Gray, and now the Red Sox have acquired Johan Oviedo and some other prospects, Tyler Samaniego and Adonys Guzman, in exchange for Jhostynxon Garcia and Jesus Travieso. I am unsure of pronunciation on most, if not all of those, but I think it's a somewhat decent trade for pitching depth purposes. So how are you feeling on everything?
Yeah, when I initially saw it, I thought it was a bit of a weird deal. Obviously, I was driving in to work when the news broke and got a lot of texts like, interesting. Like, what are your thoughts? Like, I'm the resident ball knower for my friends when it comes to trades like this, especially involving minor league guys. So I was never really the biggest Jhostynxon Garcia guy besides our Save the Password campaign, which lasted a lot longer than we thought it was going to. We did fail at saving the password, but we made it through the deadline, which I think was interesting. So I was never super sold on Garcia. Obviously, he has massive power, but the hit tool leaves a lot to be desired from. He strikes out a lot, 34% whiff rate in the minors, 29% K rate this year, and a crowded outfield. So you kind of take some of your outfield depth. I mean, I know we talked a lot about clearing the outfield logjam, and there still is one, but obviously there was a massive outfield logjam with Christian Campbell officially moving out there. So not super bent out of shape to see Garcia go, aside from having a cool nickname, but I wasn't his biggest fan anyways. And Johan Oviedo, you get a guy who has a whole lot of upside. He came back from Tommy John this year, reworked his arsenal, which led to an increased velocity in the fastball, has a lot of the traits that Breslow and Bailey look for, 98th percentile in extension, which led to the increase in velocity in the fastball. Control is a big issue with him. Only 40 and a third innings pitched in 2025 because he was coming back from that Tommy John, but it was a 5.13 walks per nine in those 40 and a third. 3.57 ERA, but a 4.92 FIP, which is likely due to a high home run per nine of 1.34. But I would guess that comes down because in 2024, he threw 177 innings, and it was only a 0.96 homer per nine. So I would guess that's inflated because of that. And again, it's a small sample size, so we'll see what that looks like. But 29.9% whiff percentage, but doesn't generate a lot of chase. Generates hard contact, 3 years or contact. Doesn't generate or limits hard. Jeez, God, can I talk?
It's
limits hard. Limits hard contact. He's got 3 years of team control. So pretty much just two teams with depth in certain positions. The Pirates have a lot of controllable starting pitching depth, and obviously the Red Sox have a ton of outfield depth. Just swapping those guys, I think it's a pretty even trade for both. And then you mentioned the pair of prospects that they're getting back. Tyler Samaniego, 26-year-old left-handed reliever. Adonys Guzman, a Boston College legend before transferring to Arizona last year, a fifth-round pick in 2025. And then Jesus Travieso, who is number 19 on Sox prospects, and 18-year-old lottery tickets. Nothing really too much on the prospect side there. I think the real gist of this deal was Oviedo for Garcia.
Pretty much, and you said it, the Red Sox have had an outfield logjam for at least 2 years now. I feel like
it's like the SpongeBob. It's 25 years later.
Yeah,
and it's just a video of Craig Breslow kicking a can down a road.
Well, he's ready. He's still kicking it. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, like you said, I don't think this logjam is really cleared in moving the password. But he had no spot to full-time playing time at all at the major league level, especially after Christian Campbell was made a full-time outfielder. And last episode or 2 episodes ago, I was beating the drum of I want Christian Campbell to get full-time reps at the major league level. This is starting the path towards that, and I would not be shocked if we see Wilyer Abreu or Jarren Duran move this offseason, like we've mentioned time and time again. But all in all, it's interesting to me because, like we said when the Red Sox acquired Sonny Gray, Craig Breslow keeps saying, yeah, we feel good, starters 3 through 10, and you just go out and keep acquiring starters 3 through 10.
Through 10.
Yeah. So it's like, I understand you can never have too much pitching, and I do like the upside that Oviedo seems to have. Fun fact, he gave up a homer to Masataka Yoshida. I saw Tyler Milliken tweet that out. So,
I also did you see the Red Sox stats video where he had Roman in hell?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, so gave up a home run to Masa, but also punched out Roman. So
Okay.
take the good with the bad. And I know Bradfo tweeted it too. He's a guy who on certain starts he'll look completely unhittable, and then in other starts he'll look like he's never thrown a baseball before in his life. Obviously, Bradfo didn't say that last part, but he effectively did. So we'll see what you can get. But obviously, there's a ton of upside, and it's a guy that you can get into the pitching lab, which I know we made fun of a lot when the season started, but you can 100% say that the pitching lab is a real phenomenon now. So I think he's probably a 4 or a 5 right now with the potential to rise. But like you said, all he's done so far is add guys 3 through 10, and then obviously Cooper Criswell DFA'd because you need to make room for Samaniego because he's a 40-man guy. But Chris Cotillo said it. We'll get to that later. They've effectively structured that contract so that they could DFA him, and he has no choice but to accept an assignment because the money. Well, I guess we'll get to it right now. The money is locked in right now, where he's going to make more money than he'll make from a minor league deal. I'll just read the tweet from Cotillo. Sox didn't want to lose Criswell. A source said, and his new agreement makes it more likely he remains with the organization, even if further roster moves force him off the 40-man later this winter. The salary is guaranteed and represents a bigger value than he would have likely gotten if he had signed a minor league deal with the Red Sox or another club. After being non-tendered, the Sox can remove Criswell from the 40-man for further moves if they so choose, and if they do so, he's now more likely to clear waivers and accept an outright assignment instead of electing free agency because his salary's locked in. So they're fine with 3 through 10, and now they're going to add to that with Criswell being 11. So 3 through 11 is what they have, I would say now.
I would say 3 through 12 because you acquired Oviedo as well. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't hate the move. Part of me feels like maybe you could have gotten a bit more for Garcia, but it's also 3 years of control for a guy who has the upside. I mean, can he put it all together? I feel much more confident in the pitching lab than I have ever before. So, you put that guy in, see what you can get. I don't hate it, especially seeing as Garcia really had no path towards a roster spot, realistically.
Yeah, I agree with you. Oh. Yeah, completely. That was my first reaction to that's all they could get for Jhostynxon Garcia. But I guess he was number 86 or right around there on MLB Pipeline. But all these other teams have their own rankings and all that stuff. And I think Pipeline is probably the worst of the bunch in terms of the national prospect ranking. So I was a little bit surprised that that's all they got for him. But I think the swing and miss is a real concern. And when you talk about the premium, Oviedo has 3+ years of control, or not 3+, but 3 years of control. There's nothing more valuable than controllable starting pitching. Even if it is just a 4 or a 5 and he's never able to put it together, that's still really valuable in terms of staying under not staying under because they're going to go over the luxury tax, but kind of keeping yourself cost control because it seems like they might not be spending as much as we were hoping.
That's really what gets me is I've seen the potential rotations for 2026 now, and it's like Crochet, Gray, Bayo, Oviedo, Cutter Crawford, and it's like, okay, that's fine, but it could have been a lot better, and it still could. I'm still willing to be let's wait and see until spring training rolls around. Maybe the Red Sox do bring in a legit number 2, but if they don't, it's there's a lot of question marks in this rotation. If you're going with Cutter Crawford, a guy who hasn't pitched in a year plus.
Or Patrick Sandoval.
Right. Or even Connolly Early, a guy who looked good early on, but who knows what who knows what a whole season of work looks like for him. And then Oviedo, it's like Bradfo said, he could be lights out one start. And then it gives me Dustin May vibes almost, just the way he said that. I feel like May dominated against the Astros and then didn't.
But that was just the one.
Right. So, I mean, I don't want to call this guy Dustin May. I think he can be way more than that.
That'd be rude. Yeah.
But
that'd be uncalled for.
Yeah, welcome to Boston, Dustin May clone. No, that is not what I'm saying. I think I'm pretty excited for Oviedo. I mean, the peripherals, what is he, 6'5", 275 or 6'6"? So mass equals gas, baby. I mean, we'll see if that turns into anything, but I still do think you need to add a more proven commodity at the top of your rotation. And these moves at the margins are fine, good for depth purposes, but at the end of the day, you just have to raise your
Which I think they did with this. I think Oviedo is at the bare minimum a really good 4,
Yeah.
or really with the potential to grow higher. And I think the Gray trade was obviously a deal that raised your floor, but you still don't really have that like solidified number 2. I tweeted this the other day, but it feels like that all the projection systems are like absolutely in love with the Red Sox rotation. Like Steamer has them as the second best rotation in baseball, and this is before the Oviedo trade, behind the Dodgers with a projected WAR of 17.1. The Dodgers are at 17.8, but yet pretty much Red Sox fans are, obviously they don't agree on which arm they want. Some people want Joe Ryan. Some people are like me. They want Freddie Peralta. Like there's still people clinging on to a Hunter Green fantasy, things like that.
It's me.
But
I'm people.
well, I mean, I would love Hunter Green,
Yeah.
obviously. I just don't think that it's a realistic move that they're going to make. But all these projection systems love their rotation, and yet everyone unanimously thinks they still need another arm. So I'm curious to see what Breslow and Bailey think. And it's something that we heard Breslow talk about in the media availability after the Sonny Gray trade, is that they're not closed off to anything, which I like. Like at the deadline, for the entirety of the day, they spent the day throwing offers at the Twins for Joe Ryan, and Passan said that the Twins were never even close to trading Joe Ryan at the trade deadline. So obviously they thought it was way close. The Red Sox being thought it was way closer than the Twins did. So instead of waiting around and seeing what's going to happen with Freddie Peralta, or seeing what's going to happen with Joe Ryan or any of these guys, Breslow's going out and being proactive and not going to end up with Dustin May for a massive overpay of James Tibbs and Zach Earhart, like right at the buzzer. Like that's just, I like that he's learning from his mistakes and going out and not repeating them. So it's good to see, but I think it opens up the door, because obviously the rumors are that Milwaukee wants a starting pitcher, or a major league starting pitcher, if they're going to trade Freddie Peralta. So does the team control on Bayo with that contract intrigue them at all? I find it hard to believe that they would want Brian Bayo when they just have Freddie Peralta. Like, I understand they're pinching pennies and whatnot, but I would guess that there's going to have to be a lot there. And like, how much does Franklin Arias appeal to the Milwaukee Brewers,
Right.
a guy who's in just only gotten a cup of coffee in Double-A so far? So I wonder how much of a match is there, but the good news is that they have so many different avenues that they can take to make these deals now, because you have you're 14 deep in your rotation. I mean, obviously, how many of those guys do you actually trust to be in the mix in the majors for an extended period of time? But you have great depth. You still have the 2 major league caliber outfielders, 3 if you want to count Cedar Rafael, although it doesn't seem like they're super keen on moving him. And then obviously you still have Arias, you still have Tolley, Early, like any number of guys to go out there and make a big swing either for that solidified number 2, or even a big bat like Ketel Marte or any of the guys that might be out there.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think the biggest thing is, like you said, Craig Breslow having some conviction in his decision making, because he was kind of pussyfooting around the trade deadline as a whole. Obviously, he panicked and got Dustin May. And going into this offseason with the whole Craig Breslow wants to find a GM, we were both like, you need to find one ASAP. You can't fall behind here. And while they didn't bring in an actual GM, they have been probably the most active team so far, I would say. I mean, they've already made 2 trades, more than 2 trades. I mean, a bunch of Rule 5 moves as well. And you just see Breslow identifying guys that he can put in his pitching lab and hopefully make more out of than they are right now. And I can't hate that at all. Like,
No, definitely not.
I wasn't attached to the password in any sort of way. I saw him up for his cup of coffee. He didn't impress me much at all. And it's like, okay.
They barely trusted him to even play.
Absolutely. So, and they were never going to give him a full-time spot. Like, there was no path towards him becoming any sort of factor with the Red Sox. And I'm not surprised they moved on from him. I don't know. I am a little bit surprised that it came for another pitcher. I think they could have included him to get a number 2. Like, that's where it gets me a little bit, but I don't know. I don't know much about Oviedo. I don't know much about any of these prospects. I know you have rundowns on all of them if you wanted to go through them.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of hit all the points on Oviedo right there at the jump, but increase in velocity, 357 ERA in 40 innings, 492 FIP, but the home run per 9 was higher than it has been in the past in his career, so I would guess that that's coming down. He also limits hard contact, so I would guess that that leads into limiting home runs. Like I said, 98th percentile extension with a lively fastball, so plenty of traits to work with here. I'd like to see what kind of secondaries they they bring in for him,
Right.
because like I said, it's almost a 30% whiff percentage, but he doesn't generate a ton of chase at all. So I would guess that's one area that they're really going to zone in on. But to me, the one thing is, I said that going into the offseason, I wanted certainty. Like, I think there was too much like, oh, what are you going to get from this guy? What are you going to get from that guy on this year's team? And ultimately, it failed them. And I think I more so was talking about certainty in the lineup when I said that. But still, like, Oviedo doesn't give you a ton of certainty. Obviously, the high ceiling is there.
Right.
But, like, what kind of certainty? Like, I think certainly he's a number 4, a number 5 at the major league level. So I guess, like, that's something. But you already have plenty of those guys. So I do understand where people are coming from and saying that maybe that makes a Brian Bayo more expendable. Like, does it make Patrick Sandoval and Cutter Crawford more expendable? No, because who's going to take a chance on those guys after they haven't pitched in over a year? So it's an interesting move to me. I really hope this isn't it in the rotation, but I'm comfortable. Like, if it is, like, I guess I'm not comfortable if it is, because I just said I hope it isn't it. But it's one of those things where, like, at the end of the day, I'll be able to make my peace with it because all the projection systems have their rotation graded so highly. And obviously that's ballooned by Garrett Crochet, who's like a 7+ win player. But still, when you're talking about having a 7+ win horse at the front of your rotation, and then your bottom 4 guys can combine for 10 WAR, I think that's more than enough to get you by. But it all comes with, what are they going to do next? Like, there still needs to be additions to the lineup. So we'll go from there. I can keep running through some of these guys if you want the report on Samaniego.
Yeah, I would like the reports on these guys.
All right, Tyler Samaniego, he's a 26-year-old left-handed pitcher, 3.08 ERA over 26 and a third innings pitched in relief in Double-A last year, an 0.91 whip, and a 30-6 strikeout to walk ratio. I said it, he was protected in the Rule 5 by the Pirates, so he is right on that 40-man. I would guess that he's in the mix to break camp if they don't add another lefty reliever with the team, but my best guess would be that he opens up in Worcester. Just another guy with kind of, I don't want to say it, a funky delivery from the left side, obviously in an area of need. So we'll see how that pans out. I couldn't find any like ranges on his velocity, but in the one video I saw on Twitter of him striking somebody out, he touched 96. So he touches at least 96, so upper 90s. And then Adonys Guzman, as I said, Boston College legend before transferring to Arizona last year. He was the Pirates' 5th round pick in this last draft. Defense first catcher with not a plus arm, an 80 grade arm and a plus glove. It's something that we talked about when we talked about those Rule 5 selection or trades, where you just needed catching depth in your system. And this is in defensive catching depth, to be exact. Like, you had so many guys that you cycled through in AAA last year, whether it be Osmani Grandal or Blake Sable or Sebi Zavala. This gives you guys who are actual prospects, not just a bunch of journeyman quad A players to plug and play. And obviously, being 22 years old, he should move through the system a little bit faster. Only had 5 at-bats for the Pirates last year in Single A Bradenton, so we'll see where they start him. But again, college bats, probably going to start him, maybe a cup of coffee in High A, and then go from there. Probably move through pretty quickly, especially given the lack of catching depth that they have throughout the system.
Yeah, a lot of guys that I would be happy to buy jerseys of just based on their last names alone. I think I'm all in on them from that end. It seems like another sort of move on the margins, like more similar to some of those Rule 5 trades. But I can't be upset until we see the full scope of this offseason and see everything unfold. Obviously, we're still at the beginning of December here, so winter meetings haven't even happened. I think they're next week, like middle of next week.
Yeah,
so
right around there.
Could see some more movement after those. But even still, it's good, like we talked about, to see the Red Sox getting ahead of things and addressing needs this early into the offseason. You don't typically see things like that. Did you have anything else on the trade?
No, I don't think so. I echo those sentiments. I don't think it's anything to get super bent out of shape about or super excited about. It's a nice move. It's good to see them showing this kind of urgency to go out there and improve the roster overall, but like, it's not a huge needle mover for me. We'll see what the rest of the off season pertains, whether or not they do go out and get that solidified ace. But yeah, I love it when they're making trades, even if it is just like moves like this. Like, I don't like the Rule 5 deadline was fun just in terms of volume of trades, but like that, I mean, talk about like things that are like absolute zeros for me. It was fun to see them moving a bunch of guys and like wheeling and dealing, but didn't really move the needle a lot for me. This one's probably at like a 4 out of 10 on my excitement scale, and then I put Gray at like 7 out of 10. So we'll see. We're still waiting for that. Like, holy shit, the Red Sox got whoever it may be. Like the oh fuck moment of the off season, like where you're like, let's go. Like last year, obviously we got it twice, so I'm expecting big things still in terms of offensive additions. But I think I'm more okay than I am not if this is it in terms of rotation additions.
I think I'm with you there. I still think they can definitely benefit from a more proven number 2. We'll see if that comes to fruition. The only other housekeeping thing I had, I don't think we mentioned this yet, but I am going to be so insufferable when Garrett Whitlock puts on the red, white, and blue for Team USA in the World Baseball Classic. I am amped up. I will be buying a Team USA Whitlock jersey to go right next to this one. And I am very excited about.
Is that Whitlock jersey number 3 you'll have?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
Because my dad, I'm going to count that my dad has the City Connect.
Yeah.
So
no, that counts.
It'll be 3 in the family. Yes.
Yeah, I like that. The Garrett Whitlock fan family.
I mean, yeah, no one loves Garrett Whitlock more than the Azer family. For some weird reason, that is the guy we have chosen to attach to. Yeah, amped up for him. Amped up to see more moves from the Red Sox as well. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I don't think so. I think we'll probably compile some thoughts for a longer episode, probably at some point next week. I'm heading into the winter meetings. Hopefully we have some more action to discuss. And I like doing the bonus pods, like a no off season for Enter and Kenmore. Craig wants to make a move. We're ready to hop on this Riverside and we're ready to react to it.
Absolutely. Always fun doing these emergency pods too, whether it be for a Sonny Gray trade or a Johan Oviedo trade and everything in between there as well. So we'll be with you all off season. As always, thanks so much for listening, and we'll check in with you guys again next time.
Drake May.